This park ranger claims there's something sinister going on in our national parks, and that the U.S. Forest Services may be trying to hide the truth. The following accounts are from both him and his colleagues. Warning, these may give you nightmares. As always, my people, this is for entertainment purposes only and may or may not be true. I just provide the information and let you decide. Enjoy. One day, a group of park rangers were out doing recon for mountain lions because there had been several reports of sightings in the last couple of days. One of our jobs is to scout out the areas where these animals are seen to ensure that if they are in the area, we can warn people and close off those trails. He was out on his own in a very heavily forested part of the park towards dusk when he heard what sounded like a woman screaming in the distance. Now, as most of you know, when a mountain lion screams, it sounds almost exactly like a woman in distress. It's unsettling, but far from abnormal. My buddy radioed back and let ops know that he heard one, and that he was going to keep going to see if he could figure out where its territory started. He heard the mountain lion scream a couple more times, always from the same spot, and determined the approximate area of the mountain lion's territory. He was about to head back when he heard another scream, this time within only a few yards of him. Of course, he freaks out and starts heading back at a much faster pace, because the last thing he wants is to run into a damn mountain lion and get mauled to death. As he got back on the path and started heading back, the screaming followed him, and he broke into a jog. When he was about a mile from ops, the screaming stopped, and he turned around to see if it was following him. It was almost dark by this point, but he said in the distance, just before the path rounded a corner, he could see what looked like a male figure. He called out to them, warning them that the paths were closed, and that he needed to come back to the welcome center. The figure just stood there, and my buddy started to walk over. When he was about 10 yards away, the figure took, as he described, an impossibly long step toward him and let out the scream he had been hearing. He didn't even say anything. He just turned and sprinted back to ops, never looking behind him. By the time he got back, the screaming had moved back into the woods. He didn't mention it to anyone else, just said that there was a mountain lion in the area and that they would need to close those paths until the animal could be located and moved. This ranger had a similar experience. I was out on a training exercise a few years ago. I was camped out in my tent and I heard someone walking around the outside of camp. We're told not to wander far, so I wondered if maybe it was a rookie who'd gotten up to pee and couldn't find his way back. A few years back, a guy almost fell off a mountain. Well, I'm paranoid about that happening again, so I got up to see what was going on. I went to the edge of camp and I called to whoever it was and told them that camp was this way, but they kept going back out into the woods, so I went after them. I know it was stupid, but I was half asleep and I just really didn't want to deal with some idiot getting hurt. I followed this thing on a dead straight course for about a mile, and then it stopped on the edge of a little river. I could see the outline of it because the water was reflecting the moon, and it looked just like an ordinary guy. He had a pack on, and it looked like he was facing me. I asked if he was okay, if he needed help, and he cocked his head like he didn't understand me. I always have my pocket knife on me, and it's got a little thumb light attached to it, so I turned that on and lit up his chest so I wouldn't blind him. He was breathing slow and deep, so I wondered if he was sleepwalking. I went closer and asked him again if he was okay. I moved the light up, and something didn't seem right, so I stopped. He kept breathing in this real slow, deep breaths, and I sort of figured that gradually that's what was bothering me. It was like he was pretending to breathe, but not actually doing it. His breaths were too even and deep, and all his movements were exaggerated, like his shoulders going up and his chest moving. I told him to identify himself, and he made this muffled noise. I moved the light up, and I shit you not, this guy had no face, just smooth skin. I freaked out and I sort of fumbled my light, but I saw him move towards me, but he didn't actually move. I don't know how to explain it, but one second he was at the edge of the river, and the next he was 5 feet from me. I never looked away or blinked. It was like he moved so fast my brain couldn't keep up. I tripped and fell on my ass, and I could see this line open up on his throat. It stretched up to his ears, and his head tilted back, and he smiled at me with his throat. There wasn't any blood, just this gaping dark hole, and I swear he smiled at me with this gash in his throat. I got up and ran as fast as I could back to camp. I couldn't hear him following me, but I felt like he was always right behind me, even though when I looked back, I couldn't see him. I calmed down when I got back to camp. There was something about being around the other campers that made me feel safe, and that was one of the most terrifying experiences I've had as a park ranger. This story is from a female park ranger named Katie. This happened to her when she got separated from her group when she was just a rookie. They were learning the basics of high elevation belaying on a well-mapped side of the mountain, and she had to use the bathroom. She went off about 50 yards from the group during a meal break and did her business. The rest is exactly as she told it. So I go to take a bathroom break, and once I'm done, I start going back to the group. But I've only gotten about 5 feet when I realize that I have no idea where I am. And this wasn't a, oh, I got turned around loss. I mean, I had literally no clue where I was. If you'd asked me, I don't even think I'd have been able to tell you what state we were in. It was sort of how I imagine people with amnesia feel. You're completely lost, and you have no idea what to do. So I stood there for a while, just trying to figure out where the hell I was and what I was supposed to do. But the longer I stand there, the more confused and turned around I got. So I started walking. As I recall, I just picked a random direction and went for it. And as I'm walking, it's just getting worse and worse to the point where I have no concept of why I'm on the mountain in the first place. I'm just trudging through the snow, and then I start hearing this voice. It's kind of inside my head almost, like if a frog could talk, all low and croaky, and it's telling me over and over, "It's okay. It's okay. You just need to find something to eat. Find something to eat, and you'll be okay. Just keep walking and find something to eat. Eat. Eat." So I start looking around for anything that I can eat, and I swear to God, I've never felt that hungry in my whole life. It was bottomless, and I think I'd have eaten just about anything you put in front of me right then. I had no concept of time, so I had no idea how long I'd been out there when I hear an actual voice coming towards me. I go towards it and see one of the other rangers, and he looks terrified. He's running towards me asking if I'm okay and what the hell I'm doing out here. And the scary thing was, as he's running towards me, I kind of feel myself reaching into my belt for my hunting knife. I'm not even really thinking about what I'm doing, but what I am thinking is that I have to eat. If I don't eat, I'll never be okay again, so I just have to eat. He sees me doing that and he backs off right away. He yells at me to put my knife away, that he's not going to hurt me, and that kind of snaps me back. All of a sudden, I know exactly where I am, and I put the knife away. I run to him and ask him how long I've been gone, thinking he'll tell me I've been gone for half an hour or an hour, but he tells me I've been gone for 2 days. I've gone over 2 peaks and ended up almost on the other side of the mountain, and if I'd kept going, I would have ended up wandering into about 300 miles of wilderness. They'd never have found me. He can't believe I'm not dead, and of course, I don't know what the hell to think. To me, no time has passed at all. I don't say anything. I just go back with him to a rendezvous point, and I'm taken to headquarters to be airlifted to the hospital. When I get there, they do all kinds of tests and try to figure out what happened. As best as they can guess, I had some kind of weird fatigue state, which is kind of like amnesia or a weird seizure that knocked my brain out of whack. But the truth is that we really don't know. It's never happened again. But I'll tell you, ever since then, I never go out there alone. People rag on me for making them come with me when I have to leave the group. But I just tell them that listening to me piss in the snow is better than losing me for 2 days on a freezing cold mountain. All right, my people, what did y'all think? Wild stories, huh? First-hand accounts from park rangers. Those have always fascinated me, and the number of stories that talk about the faceless man, you know, the big furry creatures, or the Wendigo or Rake is crazy. And nobody really knows where all this stuff stems from, and supposedly they are kind of trying to keep it out of the main media and keep it under wraps because they still want tourists to go to the forest. They are in fear that they'll stop coming because it's so terrifying. And I'm going to tell more of these in the near future. Kids disappearing and ended up miles away, up in a mountain with a sheer, steep cliff. It's insane. Nobody really knows how to explain the phenomena or what is taking place here. But nevertheless, awesome stories. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think, especially the last story. What was it? What was that insatiable hunger that she could not control? Wild stuff. I never heard of it actually getting into your head and convincing you you're hungry. And the faceless man. Never heard of it until now. Crazy. Any Appalachian goers, let me know what's kind of cryptid we're talking about here. Also, y'all, thank you so much for 600,000 followers on Facebook. I know we're a little past that, but I appreciate each and every last one of you. Couldn't have done it without you. You inspire me every day. I'll keep the great stories coming as long as you stay tuned. I love you guys. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome journey, something I will never forget, and it's unlike anything anybody could ever experience. So thank you all. I love you. You're my family, part of the Night God Army, and I hope you always will be. Like I said, it's been an amazing ride. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay in the love, stay in the light, be kind to others. Make sure you like and subscribe. I am out.